Hey, Emmy fans, those nominations are out, and suddenly the race changed. I'm Tom O'Neill with Gold Derby, here with Chris Beachum, Daniel Montgomery, Marcus Dixon, and Paul Sheehan of Gold Derby, and we're going to talk about this race because there have been some sudden shifts in the race. Just a few weeks ago, the experts at Gold Derby, the top industry experts, said that Kevin Spacey was was way out front to win Best Actor, and now Rami Malek is way out front. And Chris, let's go to you first. What's going on there?
Well, we started working on all of the analysis over the weekend, looking at the experts. We have 14 of them right now. We'll add more. And yes, Rami Malek has 7 out of the 14 in first place. Have him in first place. Only 4 have Kevin Spacey now. And the others are all locking in on Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah.
He has 3. So it really was a surprise to me when I started, looking at all the numbers and everything. Some people are ranking Kevin Spacey as low as 4th place. Remember, this is his 9th and 10th nominations this year. He's also up for producing, and even though he has 2 Oscars, he's won Golden Globe, he's won a couple of SAG awards, never has won an Emmy.
But Chris, you could have said that about the Golden Globes a few months ago, and he finally won. And there were rumors around that the HFPA was mad at him, and all this stuff was going on. And somehow he surmounted all of that and proved otherwise. He finally won his first Golden Globe this year. So why not his first Emmy finally?
Well, actually, it was a year and a half ago. John Hamm won a few months ago.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, Golden Globes don't have a lot of bearing on the Emmys in terms of no similar voters. It's way, many months apart from voting, unlike the Oscars. But I don't know. I think this is a fascinating race. Sometimes I always talk about races being a top and bottom, where you've got like 3 people and then the other 3 people. And this race feels like a Spacey, Malek, Odenkirk race where it's going to be fun to watch from week to week as they shift around.
So, Marcus, I'm going to come to you here.
Mm-hmm.
I know what's going on. Let me tell you, and you tell me if you agree with it or not. The only difference between a couple weeks ago and now is Mr. Robot's on TV, and everybody's talking about Mr. Robot. And a couple weeks ago, it was all about Spacey and how he's never won. He plays president of the United States, and here it is. It's a presidential election year, and he had all those tea leaves going for him. But the last season of House of Cards was a few months ago, and it's all about Robot now, right, Marcus?
Robot is airing now. I think that has a lot to do with it. That never occurred to me until you said that. But I'm still on the Spacey train. I don't know if anyone else in this slugfest is, or am I the only Spacey voter? I think I am. This season was so good for House of Cards. People not only think he could win, people think the show could win. People think Robin Wright could win. It's probably going to win a couple guest star, for Reggie Cathy and Ellen Burstyn. I think the show is going to be huge, but it doesn't have writing and directing. So that's where I'm battling in my head whether or not they really love the show or if they're just kind of name-checking the Kevin Spaceys and the Robin Wrights.
Like the actors,
I don't know.
The acting branch loved the show. But the rest of the creative community didn't. Well, Daniel, you're actually hosting a weekly Mr. Robot slugfest. What do you make of it? Are you on Rami Malek's team?
Yeah, I'm personally I'm on Team Malek, but I'm still predicting Spacey. The new episodes are out. I think some of the reaction to it has been kind of muted. Some of the ratings have been not quite as. It hasn't gotten the big boost from season to season that they were maybe hoping, and it's gotten weirder. It's sort of season 2 of Mr. Robot feels more like season 2 of Hannibal.
That's not a good thing.
Not a bad thing necessarily. I think Rami Malek has been the best thing about this new season so far. I mean, he already has a couple of potential Emmy submissions. He ranted against God last week, the way sort of like Martin Sheen in The West Wing. But yeah, I mean, even with Mr. Robot still airing now, the show underperformed slightly in the Emmy nominations. Didn't get a directing nomination. Christian Slater didn't get in, so B.D. Wong didn't get in. That's the acting branch saying that those 2 people we were expecting didn't get in. And he's also relatively fresh face. He wasn't a household name before Mr. Robot. The popular vote now, the episode submission could really help him in like 2 years ago. But now the popular vote might swing things towards a more recognizable A-lister like Kevin Spacey. I think I might actually have Rami Malek in third.
Wow. But I know what you're saying. And when you meet the Emmy voters, they tend to look like Margot Martindale and Catherine Houston and Tom O'Neill. I am a voter, actually. But I mean, and they're not the hippest people in the world, right? I'm not sure they're watching Mr. Robot. In other words, the acting branch, the 2,500 members there.
And the whole thing about the fact that it's airing now, I don't know if that really helps, because look at John Hamm. No one from Mad Men won the first 4 years when it was airing during voting.
The show won drama series. That was a nice consolation prize.
Right. So maybe Mr. Robot will win drama series, but I don't think it will help Rami.
Chris, I'm curious. I mean, you predating Gold Derby. I mean, you and Rob were following these Emmys forever and ever. I mean, is Kevin Spacey in danger of becoming the next Angela Lansbury? I mean, in that you can get these nominations but never the win. Why hasn't he won? I mean, and before. I mean, he's, as you said, 2-time Oscar winner.
He hasn't done that much TV, right, Chris?
Well, he said this is his 9th and 10th nominations. I mean, he's,
Well, I think 8 of those were from House of Cards, acting and producing.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know. I think he'll eventually win. He seems to be very popular in the acting world. It's a fun race for me to watch, and something I was telling Tom the other day on the phone. It's only our 2nd year to try to figure out this new voting system, so we're still not sure of how everything works long term, like for years and years, in terms of we don't have any historical data on this new system. I wonder about, to me it seems like if I'm a voter, there are certain shows I probably already have watched when they aired, like a House of Cards or a Better Call Saul. But if Tom is right about the age of the voters and Mr. Robot, I do wonder, it's so easy for them to watch the episodes that are submitted. Is a Mr. Robot the kind of show where they go, okay, let's say they're voting in drama actor. I've already seen House of Cards. I'm going to rely on my memory for that. I've already seen Better Call Saul. I'll rely on my memory for that. What's this Mr. Robot about? I'm going to watch this Rami Malek episode and see what's going on here, because they didn't see it earlier. So, and just being fresh in the minds of voters, will that help?
Well, this is let's linger on this. Chris and I were talking about this the other day. It's a fascinating topic. We pessimists and Emmy fans are very suspicious that the new voting system means that that we're just assuming they're not watching the episodes, right? Because they no longer get this little box of DVDs at home and then watch each one in one category and then vote the way they did before, and there would be only 50 or 75 people voting, and the people who had the strongest episode always won. That's why Bryan Cranston won the first year Breaking Bad. It's why Kira Sedgwick pulled off upset for the closer.
No. I'm jumping in here because I remember many times all of you chiding me. Oh, this one's got this strong episode, and I say, well, this one's going to win. So that theory works when you agree with it that it was.
When you agree, but sometimes like the year Celia Ward and Sisters had the greatest episode, a menopause episode was, and it explains there was however you size up, there was a correlation between the dramatic oomph of the episode and the winner. And now we're wondering, is that the case or not? And there's conflicting evidence last year. But Chris and I came upon an interesting thing that last year, because it was the first year of the new voting, that gives us hope that they're actually watching the episodes. And it's Regina King in American Crime. Now, I didn't see it, but I hear that, Daniel, you're nodding your head, explain this. I heard that last year she had a kind of soliloquy, a speech to give. And then does that explain her win? Did they actually watch the episode online, the voters? Because it's not easy to watch video on your computer for an hour.
Yeah, that's one of those wins that it feels like it shouldn't have happened under the new system in terms of a popular vote, because I think it was her first Emmy nomination. She's done a lot of work before that, but it's not been recognized until now. And so for her to beat some heavyweights, I think
Sarah Paulson,
Kathy Bates, they had to be paying attention, and specifically to her. And I don't see how they would have done that if they hadn't watched the episodes. But,
and it wasn't like The Big Bang Theory. I mean, American Crime got decent numbers, but it wasn't likely that most of these voters had seen it in its original run. I mean, it wasn't this huge blockbuster. But, you know, it's interesting we're talking about this race and about having watched different series and maybe not watching the episodes. What about Matthew Rhys? I mean, year in and year out, we sort of, will he get nominated, won't he? Now he's finally got a nomination. I mean, is there a chance that he could pull off an upset?
He's extremely respected.
Yeah.
The episode he submitted, you know, we've been announcing all these episodes in the last couple of weeks. He directed. And I'm wondering if it's the only time he's directed The Americans. I'm wondering if a voter, they pop that one on, they, you know, right at the beginning they see, you know, directed by Matthew Rhys, if that gives them a couple of extra brownie points.
Interesting.
You know, actors love when, you know, actors become directors. Directors don't like when actors become directors, but they're not voting in this category.
And you know, another factor that we haven't mentioned is this is the first year the voters are not going to rank the ballot. They're only going to pick the winner. So how will that affect the race?
Oh, that's a great point, Marcus. That's right.
That could help a Kevin Spacey. It could hurt a Rami Malek. Rami Malek, you know, if you're ranking him, and what Chris said was true, where they maybe haven't seen the episode, so they're going to watch it, you know, fresh, so it's going to be on their mind. They may have put him 2 or 3, but if you're just picking the winner, I think Kevin Spacey will benefit from that. I don't know though. I could be completely wrong.
What do you guys think? What a great point. This is why we love Gold Derby, right? We're the only people in the world who are even paying attention to this, or even talking about it. But this is how you win and lose Emmys.
This is the Riley Chow. Riley Chow keeps mentioning us in the forum, so shout out to Riley.
Okay, way to go, Riley. Got to get you in on these chats here too, because this is the kind of the obscure stuff that you know, and it's what wins and loses Emmy awards.
And Riley Chow, who also counted up credits and realized Peter McNichol shouldn't have been in guest. So this is one of our
great writers, contributing editors, and contributing writers, and he is the demon hog in the forums, a constant presence, dramatic presence in the forums, much respected.
So, but with the voting, not only is it just the tick, you know, but it's also expanded, and you can vote in as many categories as you want now, right?
Right.
Within your branch.
Within your branch. So suddenly, if you're in the acting branch, which obviously really, really liked House of Cards, I mean, lots of nominations for people that, you know, that weren't big names, those guest star nominees. If you're checking off different categories, I mean, when we're just bringing in the actress race, I mean, is it a double act like it really was this season on House of Cards? I mean, do you tick off Kevin Spacey and Robin Wright?
Yeah, I don't think Margot Martindale would have won under the only pick a winner. I think she won based on the rankings. I think Merritt Weaver won based on the rankings. It'd be interesting to see who would have won those 2 races.
You think they got a lot of 2s and 3s?
Exactly.
Right. The one thing that I wonder about with the voting, you know, just ones and no rankings, is within this category, just specifically this category, it also might favor a Bob Odenkirk.
Yes.
Very well liked person in the industry, also up for Best Drama Series. To me, he gets degree of difficulty points over the other 5 if I'm thinking things through of, this guy's basically a comedian and a stand-up comedian at that, and a variety-type performer who has made his way into drama. That would, if I'm an actor, that kind of weighs on me a little bit.
And another thing, the new system, which doesn't affect drama actor, it affects a couple of other categories we're probably going to talk about, is one factor of Emmy voting that we've always noted, and Edie Falco winning, Felicity Huffman winning, is multiple nominees don't help each other anymore. Now we're into vote splitting territory, because even if if 4 Modern Family Guys were in there and you watched all of their episodes and you liked them and you rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, one of them wins. But now if this one picks Eric Stonestreet, that one picks Ed O'Neill, that one picks Ty Burrell, then Tony Hale wins because the support is split. So I think multiple nominees is suddenly a liability instead of a benefit.
Wow, that's a real insight.
Mm-hmm. So who would that affect this year? Maybe Courtney Vance, Cuba Gooding Jr., although I don't know if a lot of people are going to vote for Cuba Gooding Jr.
I think
the three Game of Thrones ladies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so Maggie Smith will win that race then. I know, Paul, you're predicting her, right?
Or
did you make the
now,
switch?
But I was waiting for this slugfest to
I'm going with Maggie Smith.
Okay. But what about over on the drama actress side? Because I think we were talking about.
Well, let's talk about that. Right.
Yeah.
Prior to the nominations coming out, all the experts at Gold Derby, almost all of them, and most of you guys had Viola Davis winning.
That's right.
And now all of a sudden, it's all about Robin Wright. What's going on there, Paul?
Well, it's interesting because I think that's still the vestiges of the old days with episodes. But along with episodes, TV loves reruns, so you would see people winning repeatedly. I mean, obviously because they had well-written roles, strongly performed. So whatever the episode was, if they had liked that person, Kelsey Grammer, David Hyde Pierce, in that role, they were going to keep liking them. And also, I wonder if the same people were year after year part of those panels. So now you've got this popular vote. So maybe there isn't that same need to sort of keep checking off the name. And I think with Viola Davis, I think there was an awareness that no African American had ever won that category. So there was a sense of doing the right thing.
Yeah, that show has no other support beyond Viola.
That's
No,
what
I mean, that could play in her favor in the fact of if we're talking, if they've already watched, say, 2 or 3 of these people and they pop the Viola Davis episode on during voting. It's a doozy. She chose very well.
It is.
What is it? What did she choose?
She gets in a car accident. She loses her baby. She cries over the dead fetus of the child. Yeah. People in our forums are just like, I think there's not a lot of fans of that show, and even they're like, this is the best episode of the 6.
Yeah,
but they also agree Robin Wright is very good in her episode, but very subtle in her episode, and subtle doesn't win Emmys.
Well, and Davis is one under the new system. Yeah. We don't have that situation in Drama Actor because John Hamm won last year and he's gone. So it's fascinating. I'll give you the numbers real quick. 8 experts have Wright. 4 have Davis. Only 4, so half of that number. And 1 has Kerry Russell. 1 has Tatiana Maslany. The thing about Robin Wright, though, is everybody else that has her in something other than first has her in second. So I mean, she's got a lot of support. Her number is, when you average up her number, it's way better than Viola, who's quite a few people have her in third. So interesting.
But again, getting to vote in lots of different categories. Probably they'll have watched, even if they hadn't seen the season of House of Cards, they're going to watch Kevin Spacey's episode. They're going to watch Robin Wright's episode. They're going to watch. Is Robin Wright's the same as Ellen Burstyn's, or no?
I'd have to look at Ellen Burstyn. I can tell you.
They had a really good great mother-daughter SmackDown.
Yeah, but
I mean, this is spoilers, but I believe it's the one. Robin's version or episode is the one where she puts her mother to sleep.
Right.
So that's heavy stuff. Let me look and see if that's the same one Ellen submitted.
Well, probably not, because is the screaming one. I'm the mother. Yeah.
Yeah, it had to be earlier on when she was more
alive.
Chapter 41. So that would have been really early in the season, and Robin's is the third from the end of the season.
Yeah. So I think I think as you said, Chris, I mean, Viola Davis the only nomination for the show, so it's respecting her.
Well, they even got rid of Cicely Tyson, who they love, from that show. So, I mean, it's down to 1 nomination. She did win SAG again this year, so that shows some support from the Acting Guild.
Is she your prediction, Chris? Viola?
I pretty much, after I tallied everybody, I put a lot of the number 1s into my number 1, so I think I've got Robin Wright right now.
Now, and again, just to sort of put it out there, I mean, Kerry Russell, I mean, she did get isn't she nominated by the TCA, Individual Achievement in Drama?
Yeah, but she doesn't have a very emotionally flashy.
Okay.
I mean, she's Felicity. She's not going to win this.
All right. Okay, I just wanted
to say she's Felicity.
She's very good in the show.
She does get really angry in her episode and kills another lady.
Yeah, she has some flashy scenes in her episode. She's angry at her daughter. She's angry at her husband. She's traumatized after having to kill this asset that she was developing in season 3. all of a sudden has to sort of to execute this woman. Yeah, she submitted a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, and everybody in the forums, as I've been releasing the episode information, they're saying, watch out for Claire Danes. It's a bipolar episode.
Oh, wow, okay.
She's
And
the
that's,
new.
that's still up for drama series. I mean, it's still got its support within the industry.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
The Tom, you and I remember Lindsay Wagner winning drama actress.
That was a perfect case of where the episodes matter, because what we're talking about here is the Bionic Woman, which was so ridiculous. It was really it's actually more of a comedy series than a drama series, and she ended up winning Best Actress at the Emmys, but she won because she played a bipolar character, two versions of herself.
Jamie Summers, that's right. The Bionic Woman went bipolar. Yeah, that's.
Or, I mean, two different good and evil kind of thing. But anyway, it's one of the most laughable victories in the history of the Emmys. It's proof that the episodes matter.
Can you guys think of an example besides Alice and Janney for Mom where somebody wins as the only nomination for that show? We'd have to go back and look, but it's very rare.
Daniel, you've got all that in your head, and you're the youngest of us, so I expect you to know.
I don't know the actual number. I think someone in the forums has actually posed this question. I think what Allison Janney has done, winning twice in a row for a show that had no other support until now, I think it has one other nomination this year, is maybe unprecedented. And we're looking at maybe that happening twice if Viola does it too, winning 2 in a row for a show that has little or no other support.
But so that goes to what Chris was saying about popularity within the industry in a way. I mean, I think that both Allison Janney and Viola Davis are very well respected within the industry and within the branch, and so this ain't easy. But several times he said, well, people in the forums, because this is what I always say: we can think we know everything, we can think we know. But there'll be those individual users out there that do far better than us when it comes to predicting the winners.
Let's wrap up with a couple of other things here. Let's go back to Courtney Vance versus Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston was ahead by a country mile early on in this Derby season. And Chris, has Courtney actually pulled ahead now, or where do we stand?
Yes, Courtney is ahead, just slightly though. We've got them. If you average out the percentages, Courtney's at 42% chance to win, and Cranston's at 38%. So it's really tight. In terms of experts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 out of 13 have Courtney, and the other 5 all have Bryan Cranston. That's why it's basically feels like a two-person race, and the numbers are so close between the two. The other 4 really don't have a shot at actually winning. I wonder if once our experts and other people saw the actual nominations and saw how little support All the Way really had in depth. It got nobody else in other than Melissa Leo, even though it had an all-star cast. Didn't get in for writing, for example. And Simpson way overperformed. Lots of actors, tons of writing, tons of directing. If people started thinking about, okay, they're going to really want to reward it for Courtney here. And Brian's got 6 on his shelf, so it's not like he's hurting.
The reason why we had him so far out in front, Tom, of course, was he was recreating a role that he'd won the Tony Award for. And when you say not nominated for writing, I mean, the play won the Tony Award for Best Play. So and it's by a Pulitzer Prize winner. It was very surprising. I mean, that was one of the big shocks on nominations morning, I think. Wasn't it that how it's an HBO prestige production and it hadn't done well? And I think that we all expected OJ to do well, but Daniel, Marcus, did you expect it to do as well as it did, and especially among the acting branch?
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I was less surprised about the supporting actor sweep than I was about even Cuba Gooding Jr. getting it. That was a big surprise. I think most people who watched People vs. O.J. Simpson thought, amazing all-star cast, and Cuba Gooding's okay too. It wasn't what people were talking about from the miniseries.
That's right.
And he bumped Patrick Wilson, Fargo, which they loved. The Emmys loved that too.
Oscar Isaac.
So I think, and another, I think I moved to Courtney B. Vance also. And another thing that it makes me think of is last year with the popular vote, the voting changes, we saw Olive Kitteridge sweep. They liked it and they just gave it everything pretty much. And so O.J. Simpson is on that same track, It's like, sure, it'll probably get Sarah Paulson in finally, but like it might just run the board. It might, get actor, actress, writing, directing, supporting actor, and series. That's actually exactly what Olive Kitteridge did too.
Yeah, the places it will lose is where it has multiple nominations in the category. It's going to lose to itself a lot.
Right. It's got three directing and 3 writing, which is incredibly rare at the Emmys. They did move up to 6 slots, but still, I think All the Way is not to be discounted, though, because it's going to have a cakewalk in TV movie.
So
and
Brian's
Jay Roach,
winning there.
Jay Roach very well might win directing. I've got him winning. He's never lost an Emmy race. He's 4 for 4. He's going to win another one for the TV movie for producing, so that's 5 for 5. So, it's very logical that he might win for directing All the Way.
If there's any Emmy voters watching this, Bryan Cranston is going to win for producing All the Way, so he doesn't need another 2 Emmys.
They don't think like that. They have no idea.
Let Courtney win after.
Okay, lastly here, let's wrap this up with the Game of Thrones, boys. Let me crow a little bit here. For the last week or so before the Emmys came out, who did I have at number 1 for Best Supporting Actor in a Drama Series? Kit Harington. And now everybody's stealing my gig here.
Yeah.
So Peter Dinklage was ahead by 20 country miles before the nominations came out, and now the Kit's in there. Everybody's stealing my thunder, Marcus. What's going on?
He had the season. All of the buzz was on Jon Snow. Every article was about Jon Snow. How many Jon Snow articles did Gold Derby write? It was the season of Kit Harington. I was actually surprised Peter Dinklage got in. I thought maybe they would dump him.
Our Gold Derby Awards voters dumped Peter Dinklage, and they love Game of Thrones.
Right.
And I think is the fact that the new system last year, that's what we're all. It's to your point about OJ, Daniel. That's kind of that sweet mentality for Game of Thrones got Dinklage in. Though, as I think somebody pointed out our last time that we spoke, that was it Lena Headey was the only one that didn't win her race, That,
right.
Yeah.
And Emilia Clarke too.
Yeah, but that category.
That category,
didn't
right?
Go their way. So given that, and yeah, Tom, I was one of those people that stole Kit Harington. I didn't have him in my roster of nominees until you made a strong case for him, and now I agree with you that he's.
Well, Chris, let's make a mea culpa here. We didn't even have him in the prediction center in the first part of the season, did we? We didn't realize how important he'd be.
Well, we did. Well, in our defense and everybody else's defense, when we launched the prediction center, we didn't even know he was going to be in the season.
That's true.
He thought he was dead, and then we had about a 3-week period there where our new technology wouldn't allow me to enter new stuff. So it was a wild arrangement of circumstances. But by the time we added him and people could start predicting him, he was definitely in the top 6 among all the people that were predicting him, and ultimately, obviously got in there. And just in terms of numbers, real quick, 8 out of 14 experts are predicting Kit Harington.
Wow.
Only 2 are predicting Peter Dinklage, and the other 4 have Jonathan Banks.
Jonathan Banks is not happening.
And that's, of course, I think who most of us were expecting to have won last year.
Yeah, if he couldn't win
Banks
last year.
would have won any other year other than last year based on the old system.
Yeah.
He
he
had
deserves.
an episode where he was the lead.
He deserves 2 or 3 Emmys, but the fact that he couldn't win last year just tells me it's going to be a Game of Thrones guy, and I think Kit Harington is the safe bet.
But the question here is that, we talk a lot about this at the Oscars, but, is Kit Harington perceived as too much of a boy? If there's a slap the stud, it's definitely here, where he had the season. But, he even came out publicly and thought people were being sexist against him because he was being objectified instead of people, admiring his craft. So I wonder if there's a slap the stud mentality, it might hurt him here. Especially
look at Aaron Paul. Aaron Paul won 3.
True, but he did sort of play, this kind of low life meth head kind of guy. So he was, Jon Snow is like a hunky character in a way that Jesse Pinkman wasn't. And Don Draper, John Hamm might have also had that problem for a little while. Add to that the fact that Peter Dinklage keeps getting into SAG, against lead actors too, and the fact that he won last year, even though he didn't really, Peter Dinklage didn't really have it wasn't a great Tyrion season last season, and it wasn't a great Tyrion season this season either. But they just like him that much. I wonder if they just check him off by rote.
Okay, on that note, we will wrap up here, and the Derby continues, and new front runners are stealing the lead all the time from the others. It's a great race. Stay tuned, and we'll be back soon with a new Slugfest.